Good morning. So today I want to update you on the 1 year it's been since I became the police chief. It's been a good year for the Atlanta Police Department. Of course, we've had our ups and downs like all police departments have, but I'm going to go over some things and just highlight you of some of our accomplishments. Then we're also going to talk a little bit about the Carver Shores shooting after. So my priority as chief, my goal for the department was to reduce violent crime and also build neighborhood relations. So my belief for reducing violent crime is that everyone should feel safe in their neighborhood, no matter where you live. If you want to sit on your porch at night, you should be able to sit on your porch at night. But how I do that is by proactive policing. We've increased our units, increased our presence in the neighborhood, and through intelligence-led policing, we've reduced criminals on our streets. When you're doing that, I also believe you need to build neighborhood relationships. And one thing we did and how we did that was, throughout our 6 districts of the city, we host community meetings. I host community meetings. I do that through every one of our districts because I believe every district is different. They have to be policed different. I believe our community has input in how they're policed. And in these meetings, I listen to our community and I make changes based on what they say. As you can see here, violent crime in the city is down 10% throughout the city. And to do this, it's great work by our police officers, by our TAC officers, our patrol officers, our special enforcement, which are our drug officers, and our criminal investigation division. They've all done a great job working together to keep Orlando safe. Crime guns. So basically one of the things I really look at is getting violent crime criminals off the streets and getting the guns they use off the streets. So we've seized, in the 1 year I've been chief, we seized 1,300 guns, which is a 36% increase from what we did the year before. So to us, it's all about making our streets safer by reducing the number of guns on the street and taking criminals off the street. Shootings. We've seen a 30% decrease in shootings throughout the city. That's huge. Of course, we wanted to go higher, but every day is a challenge, but we're working together to make this happen. Homicide clearance rate. If you've heard me speak before, you heard me say that I can't solve every homicide. But what I can do is work to bring closure to the families and the friends and the loved ones of those who are murdered. So as you see here, we were 37% solve rate when I started, and we're up to an 84% solve rate, which is a great accomplishment by our homicide detectives. They're doing great work. One of the units I brought back was our patrol TAC units. They were disbanded a few years before I became chief, and I brought those units back. Their whole focus is focusing on violent crime. They are here to reduce criminals and take criminals off the street. As you can see, they've done a great job. They've made over 1,400 arrests. They've taken 425 crime guns off the street, and they're also doing other things. They've seized 160 stolen vehicles. Our special enforcement division. These are our drug units. These are our fugitive squads. They've made almost 900 arrests in the last year. They target the worst of the worst, and they make a change in our community. And one of the changes I made with our drug units, before they were focused on pretty much any drug dealer that would deal with them and they could arrest. Now we're focused on violent criminals. It's all about the ones that are doing violence against each other, the gangs, anybody who's doing criminal activity or committing violent acts against another gang. I don't care if you're out there selling a couple dime bags of cannabis. If you're doing it in a violent way, we're targeting you. And that was a major change for us, and we've had great success doing that. Our training has changed substantially in the way we train our officers. Every year we go through active shooter training or active assailant training to make our officers better for that one day when some major shooting happens. We focus on de-escalation training, and we focus on crisis intervention training. 80% of this department is crisis intervention trained. That's a huge number. All of our patrol is crisis intervention trained. So it's a big number because we really need different ways to deal with people who are in mental crisis, and it works very well for us. And there's ways we need to talk to people and bring them down for the situation they're struggling with to make things safer for everybody. Recruiting. Recruiting for any police department is always a major challenge. As you can see, we've been somewhat successful. We've hired 133 new officers in the first year I've been in charge. It's a great accomplishment. What we fight with, of course, is attrition. We have a good retirement program, so as you can imagine, a lot of people change fields and go into different jobs and leave, but we're trying to overcome that, and we expect to have another big year of hiring. Our neighborhood patrol unit, their focus is community outreach and community relations. They've served over 15,000 residents throughout the year and attended over 131 neighborhood meetings. They also have a second job. They work proactive investigations. They've made almost 200 arrests and taken 24 crime guns off of our streets. So they're doing a great job. So community relations meeting, just like I touched on, we host meetings every quarter. and that's the one promise I made to the community. I would be out there every quarter hosting meetings throughout all 6 of our districts. We do that. We have our October meetings coming up, and that's one promise I'm always going to keep, because I think once you lose touch with the community, you've lost touch as a chief and as a police department. You need to have close relationships with the community to hear what they're saying. One of the things that came out of this meeting was in the Paramore meeting. They felt that they were underserved by the TAC units, because that's the one area of the city that does not have a TAC squad. So in our October budget, we added a TAC squad. The Paramore Bike Unit was responsible for handling the Paramore community, but one of their roles changed was at 10 o'clock at night on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, they go downtown to assist. So they were basically leaving the Paramore neighborhood policed by a specialized unit. So we added a TAC unit that will basically focus on the Paramore area, which should help out with the Paramore residents and make them feel a little safer. Now, the one thing I also do, I also try to attend as many HOA meetings as I can. And we also, as a police department, we host neighborhood watch meetings. We've hosted 70 in the last year. So just like the city, OPD has to grow. So we looked at, in our new October budget, we added a number of different units that have a number of different roles. Of course, I just talked about Central TAC Squad, which will help out our Paramore residents, our School Resource Relief Squad. So what this does for us is 7 officers that basically will help out the SROs that are currently working. We have about 70 SROs. And this will be a relief squad. So if an SRO calls in sick right now, a patrol officer will have to go out there and take care of their school, which leaves one of our districts uncovered. This way we have officers who are coming in every day who can assist and basically fill in for the ones that call in sick. But on top of that, if no one calls in sick or very few call in sick, then they will help out our middle schools. Our middle schools have gotten to the point where they really need a second officer, and one officer at the middle school, he's usually calling for help. We run an off-duty program now to assist them. This will be an officer who's within our budget who will be there to assist them and help them out. We also added a special events unit, which is a SWAT unit, says right there. So as you can imagine, for every major event that we have in the city, just like the LSU, FSU game we just had, there's this large SWAT contingent that's there, and they handle those events. They handle from Come Out with Pride to all the parades in the city, to the major soccer games, major basketball games. They're present in every event. So for us, it was a no-brainer to add this unit and make it a full-time unit. So we basically have the officers there and not paying overtime, twice a week, 3 times a week. So it just helps us out really budget-wise and gives the officers time to basically get better at their skills, but also when they're not doing things, they will assist patrol and other units on the street and sort of be a backup to the police officers that are out there. And you see East Patrol, which is Lake Nona, 20 officers. So what we're doing there, over the next 3 years, we're going to be adding a South Patrol Division. So as I said, the city's growing. And what this will do for us, there'll be basically a division of officers, which is over 100 officers that are working. They'll basically be responsible for the Lee Vista, Lake Nona area going up to Osceola County. And that what it will do for everywhere else in the city, it makes all the other divisions smaller, so the response times will be reduced throughout the rest of the city, including that area there. If you look at the response time in that area, it's not as good as it should be. And one of the reasons for that, of course, is traffic. As anybody who's down in the Lake Nona area or Lee Vista area, traffic's very heavy. And we go to very rarely to calls that are blue lights and sirens, so most of the time we're driving normal in traffic. We're just like everybody else, sitting 3 and 4 times at a light. So having more officers down in the south end of the city will be beneficial to us and get a better response time down there. Communications Relief Squad, we're adding 8 employees there. So what was happening there, if someone called in sick in communications and you were getting ready to go home, they basically made somebody stay. And that wasn't fair to that employee who needs to go home and do whatever they're going to do with their time off. So we added an overlap relief squad that basically will come in a few hours before they're supposed to get off and overlap and cover them to make sure people get home on time. So that's a big assistance there. And with all these additions and some other things we're doing, that's going to take our authorized strength up to 984 officers. So we need to grow just like the city's growing, and we're going to keep doing that. So right now I want to talk a little bit about the shooting in Carver Shores. It's a very unfortunate incident. A 6-year-old girl lost her life. Her mother got shot and is still in the hospital recovering for absolutely no reason. This was a gang shooting. This is basically the 438 gang arguing with the Carver Shores boys, and they're basically doing it on social media on a live platform, sitting there arguing back and forth. Those guys get mad, jump in a car, go down there and do a drive-by shooting and go to the wrong house. So the person lost their life for absolutely no reason. Sitting there arguing about stupid stuff that doesn't matter to any of us and really shouldn't matter to them. They get mad to go up there, grab guns, grab rifles to go shoot up a house. No need for that. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't happen, shouldn't have happened. The little 6-year-old girl should be out there playing with her friends and do what all 6-year-old girls do. That's a pointless crime, and it shouldn't have happened. As you can see, we're picking people up. It's an active investigation. We're working the investigation, and we'll take it wherever the leads take us. So, and as far as arresting people, as you all know, that's what we do. We're going to keep doing it. You do violent crime, as you can see, we're going to solve it. We're going to solve the murders and bring justice for people. As far as Carver Shores as a whole, we are looking at ways to increase our presence in Carver Shores and make the neighborhood safer. I will say this, they had the shooting on Easter at the Poppy Park where people lost their lives. We increased our presence there, and Carver Shores did go pretty quiet for a substantial amount of time. And as far as the community goes, I want to thank the community for helping us with solving this crime. I mean, they came forward. But I will say this, yes, a 6-year-old little girl lost her life, but there were a couple drive-by shootings before that in the neighborhood, which sort of like, I call it like a precursor that something's about to happen. We need help on those crimes too. Even though nobody gets shot, nobody gets hurt, we need their help and for them to call in. Because as you can imagine, when somebody does a drive-by on a house, they're not picking a random house. They know who they're shooting at, they know what they're getting ready to do. So of course the victims in the house don't want to cooperate with us. So we need the community to come forward. If you see something like that, give us a description of the car. Let us know what just happened. Call in, let us know what's going on. Because we basically move our officers around to basically into areas that are having issues, but we need to know what we're looking for. So we really need the community's help for those small little crimes, because as you saw, there were 2 drive-bys before that, spaced over about a week or 2, and then the next thing comes, this is sort of the climax of the situation what happened. So we need the community's help for those little things, because I know that people just say, oh, I just heard gunshots, no big deal, you know, roll back over, go back to bed or whatever. But we need their help when those kind of things happen. If you see something, definitely call in and give us the information so we can get ahead of it. You know, if we can get out there and know who did it, talk to those kids that are doing it, and make a difference. The other thing I'll say, these are some very young suspects. And as you've seen since I've taken over as chief, a lot of these murders are committed by very young suspects. And a lot of these are tied to gangs. So we need to make some differences in these children's lives and give them other outlets. I mean, we can't do it alone. Of course, we have our Junior Reserve program. We run it at a few of the high schools. We run it at Jones High School. We run it at Lake Nona. We have another program at Boone High School. We have our Operation Positive Direction, our mentorship program. But there's a whole lot of other things we need to do to touch a whole lot more youths out there. You know, there's Boys and Girls Clubs. The city has their rec program, after school programs. We need to get the kids involved in other things that'll basically take up their time and, you know, show them there's a better way to do things, because we're having way too many of these shootings. All right, now it's your time. Any questions?
Chief Smith, why are all 4 suspects facing first-degree murder charges?
Basically because of the way they did the crime. I mean, the state attorney will give you exact reasons why they all are facing first-degree murder, but to me, you drive up to a house, you stand in there and shoot it up. Yeah, that falls under that because it's premeditated. They're arguing online. So, I mean, you're arguing online, you leave your house, you go there to commit the crime. To me, that's, you planned it out, you thought about it, you knew what you're going to do, and that's the result. You get a first-degree murder charge.
Did all 4 suspects shoot at the house, or was it one shooter? How many people fired?
That's all part of the active investigation, so I don't want to get too far deep into that.
Chief, how important is it for parents, guardians, whoever the most in touch mentor is to these kids, to encourage them that being in a gang is not status, that's not that they've accomplished something, that there's other things to achieve?
It's very important. It's important for us as a community to show them that there's other decisions they can make. There's better things out there. I understand if you're born in a certain neighborhood, you know, you may automatically be recruited into a certain gang. We need to change that. We change that mindset and give them other avenues, and you know, through school or after school programs or whatever we're doing for them. Show them there's a better way of doing things. They have opportunities. I mean, their young age of, you know, that 15 to 18 range, 14 to 18 range is just a touch of their life. They have so much more they can do, so much more they can accomplish. They can be somebody, they can be whatever they want to be. And we have to show them that.
What is the effort that you are doing to reduce the gun violence in juveniles, since you say you have an increase in guns crime?
What are we doing to combat that?
What is your efforts to reduce the juveniles' access to guns?
Basically what we're doing now, we're trying to take as many guns off the street as we can, and we're basically being very proactive. Even with the law change, we're still very proactive, and as you can see downtown, we still average probably 15 guns taken off the street with arrest a weekend or a night downtown. And that's just a good example because it's just a condensed area where we use and we can really see it happen. But our efforts are to basically, as people do crimes, we take them off the street and we put them in jail or juvenile, wherever they need to go. Now I will say we have a very active gang unit. And so that's one of our big things we do. We target the gangs, and we target them on an individual crime. You know, if they do an individual crime, we target them there. But we also use like racketeering statutes to target the whole gang, because that's where you're really going to make a difference. So we want to dismantle the gangs as a whole and make it safer for everybody. For everybody. And as far as helping them, we have a number of programs that, like I just talked about, our juvenile law enforcement leadership program that we partner with, our Operation Positive Direction mentorship program. our summer camp that we have for the kids. It's a number of programs that we host, but we can't do it alone. We need a whole lot more help. And then, there's so many kids out there, and there's so many other great programs out there, from the Boys and Girls Clubs to our after-school programs. We all need to be a part of it to make a difference.
Chief Smith, what's your relationship like with State Attorney Andrew Grant Bain, and how are the two of you going to work together to make sure Orlando is a safe place?
It's very good. In fact, I just talked to him right before I walked in here. We talk very regularly. It's basically the mission of both of ours to take people off the streets, the bad criminals off the street, and then he'll take care of it from there. And I think he's very proactive, which I like, as you can see. We've had meetings with him since this murder happened, and he's very proactive in wanting to see people who, see justice served in a lot of different ways. One of the biggest things for me, it's just a lot easier when somebody's proactive and trying to help me and be there for me to assist us in our efforts, and know that, hey, I saw you arrested this person for this kind of crime. What do you need from us? It just makes it a lot easier, and from my view, just knowing that there's going to be some sort of prosecution at the end in the criminal justice system is very rewarding.
What's your
Chief, when
message
it
to
comes to
kids?
seeing these social media posts, and even with this group, they're talking about setting each other up for things like that, showing the guns. What can you guys do in terms of actions, but also limitations when it comes to these conversations before something like this happens?
There's a lot of limitations for us as it comes with these discussions that these gangs have, and as I said, they use live platforms. So it's not like they're just posting, here, look at my guns on this thing, and we go look at it later and be like, oh, this guy's got a lot of guns. A lot of it is live platforms where they're arguing with each other, and unless somebody lets us know, like inside the little closed conversation, that something's about to happen, we have no idea, and that's why we need people to reach out to us and let us know. Maybe that one kid who's sort of on the outskirts who's watching all this says, oh, this is going to be bad, they're going to go shoot up this neighborhood. Let me let somebody know. That's what we need, because unfortunately, with technology the way it is, our technology gets better, but their technology gets better 10 times faster than ours do. Once they realize, oh, they're looking at us on this platform, let's go over to this platform over here. So it's always changing. It makes it very difficult for us to do our job and stay on top of it.
Any of these four suspects, were any of them already on your radar? Recently, I know some did have some arrests this year already for theft and burglaries and gun charges.
I'll say that they have a history, and some of it we've actually arrested before, unfortunately. But that where it goes to, the way I look at it is this. I'm all about diversion programs. I'm all about helping our youth and making them, helping them make the right decisions. But once they pick up a gun, then they've crossed the line and it's too far down the track. So I think it's important for us as a police department, as a community, to reach out to the youth and make a difference with the youth. When they're doing the little things, oh, you did shoplifting, hey, let's get you back on the right path. You stole a car, let's get you back on the right path. But once you're doing violent crimes and hurting people, I really don't see a good return from that. I mean, we may find a way of helping you in the future, but as far as the majority, it's very hard to help you once you start picking up a gun.
Chief, it's great that you're having so many community meetings. Over in Sanford, years ago, the chief would actually go door to door to improve relations. Would you consider doing that in Carver Shores?
You know how big the city is? Oh, you're just saying in Carver Shores. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna have me walking around the whole city. I was like, come on now. Yeah, what we do is to make it easier on the residents, so I can see the most number of residents. We have Carver Shores specific meetings, and they actually have a homeowners meeting that I've been to a few times, specifically for the Carver Shores residents, and I do get a feel for them. But one thing I do is I ride with patrol officers a lot. So when they check out in Carver Shores, I go there and I stand there and I talk to the residents. They're sitting on the porch. I go over there and have a conversation with them, things like that, because it just feels like I get more, I say, bang for my buck. When somebody's already out and they see me coming, then think about it. I knock on your door, you're probably not going to answer the door. So it's just one of those kind of things. I try and see as many people as possible, and especially in neighborhoods that are challenging for us. So those are the kind of things we do to try and get the word out. And once it gets to a point, we may have a specific meeting, but I think I already have a Carver Shores meeting come up in the next week or two.
And also, cameras, are you planning to install cameras in the area that this happened, Carver Shores? If so, how many? What's the plan?
We don't discuss how many cameras or where we put them just for operational security things. We are looking at adding cameras. I think somebody ran a story on with the commissioner that there's Poppy Park, which we're going to be adding cameras to Poppy Park. That's working with other parts of the city to add cameras. That's one thing we do. We work with other parts of the city who actually control public safety cameras to add those. But one thing I'm looking at now is what I want to partner with some of our vendors and some of the companies that we deal with and do a handout of cameras in a few of the neighborhoods, and Carver Shores is definitely going to be one of those. So just handing out doorbell cameras. I mean, we get them at either a cheap rate, or we get some people to donate for us, and we use some of our partners to help us with that. But I think that would go a long way in helping with things, because that's, as you can imagine, in a neighborhood like Carver Shores, our cameras are usually, at the end of streets and things like that nature, just because of the way it is. But when you get a whole lot of houses together, You know, we sort of go blind in those areas, you know, but if we had a lot of doorbell cameras and people could share their doorbell footage with us after it happens, it's very helpful to us. The more footage we get, the better. So that's one of the things we're looking at right now is partnering with some people, and probably in the next month or so you'll see me back up here talking about the program, how we're going to roll it out, how we're going to get cameras out in people's hands. But my big thing is to get the most number of cameras out to people's houses as we can. You know, and the doorbell cameras go a long way. A lot of people have them, but a lot of people need them. You know, I'm willing to give them out for free and help people to better protect themselves.
Chief, you had mentioned early intervention with kids when it comes to committing crimes like burglaries. So in your years of experience, what tactics have you found that don't work when it comes to intervening with kids that are committing these crimes early on?
I think the tactics that don't work is making somebody do something. They have to make a choice, and that's one thing I've seen where things fail time and time again. You have to be here. You have to do this. You have to do that. We all know kids don't really respond well to that. They need to make a conscious choice to pick a better road, and we just need to give them a lot of offerings that offer a lot of better roads for them to take, and point out the reasons for taking a better road. The advantage they'll get, I mean, getting a job like we all have, something like that, having a future. There's things to point out to. Let them see what their future can be. You know, I think it's one of the most important things, and is getting out to the public and doing that is giving them opportunities and showing them opportunities.
How are these kids getting their hands on guns? Where are they coming from?
Most guns are, and I think most of you heard me say this before, most guns are stolen. Most of the guns that kids get their hands on are stolen. They're stolen out of cars. They're stolen out of home burglaries. Most of the rifles come from home burglaries. Most of the handguns come from cars. And as you can see, if you watch some of the burglaries that we do, and they'll go to an apartment complex, they'll hit 70 cars in a night. They'll just go there, and they're very fast, very efficient. And you can leave your purse in there, you can leave a computer in there, they're not going to touch it. They go to the middle console, they go under the seat, they're looking for guns, and then basically move on to the next car. They're just looking for guns to take guns.
That being said, a lot of people carry, a lot of people have guns. In your mind, is it good policy for them to make sure that when they park their car for the evening, to take that weapon inside their home?
Yes, that's huge. And if you see any police department social media, we sort of call it the 9 p.m. routine, just reminding people to get the guns out of their car and take them back in their house because it's just so dangerous. I will go a little bit further and say, hey, if you buy a gun, have a gun, you know, may have had a gun forever, record the serial number. Because there's so many times we go there and someone will say my gun got stolen, but they don't have a serial number. So basically it just goes in, oh, my Glock got stolen. Oh, okay. We have a serial number, we can put it in as stolen and actually look at prosecuting the person who took that gun.
Chief, what down, you guys spend a lot in terms of, like you mentioned, obtaining guns and patrolling that area, especially on weekends. Are you guys currently working or considering doing more of that specifically in areas we know have gun problems, especially for teens?
Doing more what?
Kind of the setup that you guys made downtown, patrolling on the weekends with security and after the shootings that happened there, doing something similar in areas that we know have gun issues as well.
A lot of those things went away when the gun law changed. So like you saw, we had dogs, checkpoints, and all that kind of stuff. But if you think about it now, carrying guns is legal. So a lot of the things that we could do before, we can't do anymore because you can have a gun. So the dog alerted that you have a gun. That's nice. I mean, it's just one of those things where the laws change, it's sort of limited with what we can do as far as enforcement goes. So we do it the other way. We basically target the criminals and we do enforcement that way and saturate the area of police officers and look for, you know, proactive ways to, you know, get the guns off the street. So that's
Chief,
basically.
3 more questions.
Chief, you said the mother and the child were not targets. Does that mean Isaiah Wright was a target?
I'm not sure who the target was.
Was he part of the gang?
Oh, you're talking about the other person who lost their lives? No, I'm just not really going to talk about what's his status is right now. They're still working out his status and what he is. So once we work that part out, then we'll definitely be getting back to you. And let
Chief,
you
in
know
the
that.
past you've declined to name these gangs who are part of these shootings. Why name them now?
Because it's got to the point where we have to make a difference and we have to target the gangs individually and we need to target who they are and what they're doing. Because before it was, we weren't sure and there were multiple gangs doing things. Now we know exactly which gangs are doing what and how they're doing it. So we need to target them and bring it to everybody's attention. These gangs are tearing down our community. And they're so specific to certain areas, like the 438 or Pine Hills gang. And then you have the Carver Shores boys, of course, they're Carver Shores. So we're targeting them and looking at them. So they're so specific now, we can target them. We need to make a difference.
And do you know if the city CVI program has a presence in Carver Shores?
I'm not sure. I mean, as you can imagine, the CVI program is separate from ours, just by design. But I will say any program that reduces violence, we fully support. But that program, just because of how it's made, what it is separate from the police department.
All right, one more
What's the
question.
feedback that you receive in these community meetings? Because we receive message too, and community feel really unprotected by Orlando Police Department. So what is your message for them?
My message is come to the meetings, tell me what you feel, tell me what you're thinking, and we're here to protect our community. I think we do a very good job. As you saw, the stats show it. Crime's going down. We're very proactive, and we're going to keep being proactive. We're going to keep making a difference in the community, keeping everybody safe. Thank you.